I want to do this video talking about something really important. A lot of people seem to get a lot of confusion going on about what's a prepper and a survivalist. A prepper is this, a survivalist is that. Preppers do this, but survivalists do that. The reality of the matter is there is no difference. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a catastrophic shit hits the fan event like a meteor striking the East Coast. Which would be catastrophic because I live on the East Coast, or California falling into the sea, or Y2K, or whatever. The aliens from Umbop coming to get us, whatever. It doesn't matter what type of situation you're preparing for, because the reality of the matter is it will not go on forever. Okay. The Dark Ages was probably one of the longest running shit hits the fan events ever. And it was an end of the world as we know it style event for the people of the time. The Roman Empire crumbled and became separate kingdoms. And that's where all the different kingdoms of Europe came from. They were all conquered by the Romans, and then the empire crumbled. They went back to being their own independent kingdoms. And yes, the Dark Ages ensued. But following the Dark Ages came the Renaissance period. And then everything improved. Substantially, as a matter of fact. So, I'm really not too certain that if we have a massive catastrophic meltdown, that it's going to be this global end of the world, Noah and the Ark type event. More than likely, it might last for a decade or two. How it might last for 100 years, I don't know. But the reality of the matter is, it will not last forever. So it doesn't matter if you're, a prepper prepping for short-term survival or a survivalist with your underground bunker city. It really doesn't matter, because in no intelligent scenario will the problems, the troubles go on forever. Even if the economy collapses, all that will happen will be we will establish a new economy. The government will break apart and crumble, yes, possibly, but new governments will take up, and they won't share in the debt of the old government. And I mean, think about it. If we were set here, if we were to look at the U.S. and we were to take the balkanization model, we were to take the Roman model, and the U.S. were to crumble and to form into different pockets and coalitions of states and independent states doing their own thing, Texas, and it were to come to that. I'm not saying it will, saying if it were to come to that. In some cases, the progressive movement will take hold. In other cases, conservatism will, reign as king. Some people will want to abolish weapons for civilians. Other people will be extremely resilient to the idea of the Second Amendment. And here's the thing about it. It's not going to last forever. So the notion that you're going to survive the apocalypse forever, that the apocalypse, Armageddon, the end of the world will last forever, isn't going to happen. I mean, it might be a slow ride down the drain, but at a certain point, you just got to hit the sewer. I really would not want to survive in a world like off of Mad Max or Book of Eli. I really not want to live in a world like that. I would not want to try to raise children and have a family in a world like that. I mean, it would you would almost be the lucky people to have died. And even in those movies, you still have pockets where people come together and they create communities. And yes, you have the guys riding around with hockey masks and football shoulder pads trying to kill people with battle axes made from baseball bats and chainsaws, or whatever. And that's all fine for Hollywood. But in a realistic situation, you're looking at more or less the Balkans. Racial, cultural divides, and that's pretty much it. I live in West Virginia. We're basically fucked. We have an abundance of natural resources, but no real economy, no real industrialization. And, well, if something like that were to happen, I don't want to say where or how things are going to go, but there'd be a great deal of people out here living almost like, I don't know, Sumerians in the Conan movie, completely self-contained villages compared to, you know, um, anything else. Now, all that being said, so what creates the difference? What is the difference between a survivalist and a prepper? Survival. The word survivalist scares people. It's kind of like the word militia. If you use the word survivalist, you're a crazy gun nut. If you use the word militia, you're a crazy gun nut who has a lot of friends. And people tend to use that stereotype and, go away from you. The fact of the matter is, you know, uh, it's a stereotype. It's no different than, racial stereotyping or anything else. Fact of the matter is, you can have a community watch group, a mutual assistance group. Um, you can have a family. As long as you stay away from the word militia, no one really cares. You can have a motorcycle club. No one cares. Use the word motorcycle gang and you're like the mafia. Use the word motorcycle club and it's more PC. And the Hells Angels are a motorcycle club. And they're not this big mafia criminal organization that rides around on bikes and with guns and transporting drugs and all this other stuff. That's just Hollywood BS. There's a few who are criminals, but not all of them. Or so they'd have you believe. Well, we really don't know because they really don't sit there and open their doors and say, "Hey, everybody, come in and nosy in our business." Uh, but we have this stereotype that they're all, bike riding vicious criminals, uh, and that's really not the correct stereotype. Uh, but we really don't know because we don't know what all's involved in their personal lives, and we really don't take the time to find out. Uh, and it's the same with everything else around us. The idea of using the words prepper survivalist essentially comes down to this. Regardless of what type of catastrophic event happens, it will end at some point. The words you use to define it now, whether you're a prepper or a survivalist, either way, you are preparing to deal with hardship, and you're preparing to ride the hardship out. That simple. Uh, I don't want to get bogged down by the definition of saying a prepper is this and a survivalist is that because I've met a lot of people that kind of blur that line. I've met people who call themselves preppers and they remind me of old school survivalist gun nut jobs who want to go build a bomb shelter, stack up on, kind of like the guy off of Tremors. They kind of remind you of the guy off of Tremors. Literally, that's the guy I'm talking about. I know people who are preppers who are like that, and then I know some people who are survivalists who simply can tomatoes and have a garden and they have maybe 2 or 3 guns in the entirety of the house and that's it. They have a 4-wheel drive truck. They have a 4-wheeler and they go out and they have electric heating in their house. They have gas heating in their house, and then they have a wood burning stove in their house just in case. They grow their own vegetables and their own fruit. They raise their own animals. They go hunting and bag a deer and turn it into deer steaks and deer burger, and that usually lasts them out. Sitting in a deep freezer in a back room somewhere on a porch, and that usually lasts them until all year round, and that's the way they live their lives. I guess to some people that's a prepper, to some people that's a survivalist. To me, that's the fucking country boy. Uh, you know, um, you can get down here and you can attach whatever label you want to something. It doesn't really matter because ultimately, in the end, Shakespeare was right. A rose by any other name would still smell just as sweet. It's something to think about. I'm tired of hearing what these debates over what a prepper is and what a survivalist is. Really, it comes down to the same difference, same shit, different word.